I wouldn't.
Hey, whatever happens, y'all gotta just go with it. It's funny. It's funny when y'all mess up. We just keep it in the recording. We won't keep starting over. Whatever happens, do it.
All right,
You gotta go.
By the way, all y'all beautiful black women look good in the morning. I see y'all shining. Yeah, makeup done, water drinking. Nah, I see y'all. I see you. Michelle, you glistening this morning. What's happening? All right.
Sean, you going no hat? Okay. I was making sure. Nah, I thought you was about to do something. I didn't want to start while you was fixing your hat.
No, I'm going
Sean,
no
Sean, if you going no hat, turn your light down just a little bit.
All right.
Going raw dome right here.
What?
You see what I deal with? You see what I deal with? And that was your husband that said that, Michelle.
What we all needed.
Hold on, like more energy. Yeah, I was like, hold on.
Because we was confused.
What we all needed is more than just a podcast.
Hold up. This is still standing takeover. Are we going to be in unison when we say still standing takeover, girls?
Say what?
Is it a pause? Is it just this is the still standing takeover? Because we're stretching words. Hold up.
Are you on mute? Take 17.
You're not my mother's son, but you're my mother's son. Cause though your mother has sons, she got other sons. All your brothers call me brother, I'm the other one. And you showed up to be a brother, but I wanted one.
What we all needed is more than just a podcast.
Hold up. This is the still standing takeover. Still Standing is dedicated to creating a sacred space where women come together to share their stories, uplift one another, and cultivate deep, meaningful connections through sisterhood. We are committed to fostering an environment of love, support, and empowerment where every woman feels valued and inspired to thrive.
Real friends. Real friends. Where would I be without my Hey son, who gon' ride for me like my day one?
We got hijacked, fellas.
Oh, what's going on? What the light skin?
Just like that.
Hey everybody, I am Michelle L., the connecting thread that weaves it all together.
I am Miss Allie, the evolutionary goddess.
Peace, family. I am Mary, a spiritual being having a human experience who facilitate spaces for other humans to remember that they are spiritual beings too.
All right, y'all. I'm Yusha Assad, Mr. With Great Care.
I wasn't ready. I got line names and stuff. Hold up. I was like, yo, mine ain't that savvy. Hey, I'm Colin. And I'm really good at networking. I'm collaborating with others.
Yo, what's good, man? I'm happy to see y'all, man. It's your boy Ali, aka the Noble One, the Kingdom Builder, man. Good to be here, ready to do this.
Yes.
And I'm Sean Nichols Sr., half man, half amazing.
Period.
Boom, 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 boom.
Tell us why you here, though. What's good?
Why y'all taking over our spot like this?
Well, it turns out, fellas, that sharing our still standing stories ends up turn out being what we all needed. And so this merge right here, we on to bringing you guys on for our conference in May. You know, we have our annual conference. It's a women's empowerment brunch where we come together and share our still standing stories so we can do exactly what we said in our mission statement, empower one another. And so this year is something that we never do. And we are inviting you guys to come and share the space with us.
Finally, I can go.
Yes. You've been wanting to come for years, brother. Come on.
Man, I've been wanting it. I was going to sneak in last year.
I'm talking about he's about to get a wig, y'all.
Yep. You should let me get one of the wigs for the wives. Gonna put on a Medea sundress. It was in there.
Yes. And it's a big year for us because it's year 5. And it's the first time that we're inviting men into the space at all.
Yes.
Which leads us into our topic for today of bridging the gap. And we'll get into a little bit more about what that means right after the game, but we find it important in this season, in this space, to try to bridge that gap between men and women, especially in our community, Black community.
Hey, I wanna congratulate you guys for reaching 5 years. That's a huge milestone, and y'all doing some great service for our women out here.
Thank you, brother. We appreciate that for sure.
Yes, thank you. All right, sis.
All right, so let's get into the game. We're gonna play this or that. You should have your A or B card. Everybody got their A or B? All right. So you can only pick one. I don't want you. All right, it's A and B for me. You got to pick one. Pick a side. All right. The first question is.
You talking to Yusha? You must have seen the episode. You talking to Yusha?
Hey, chill, Ali. You don't want to be in the waiting room, bro.
All right. The first question is: would you rather have a stay-at-home spouse that handles all the chores and domestic responsibilities, or B, a partner that matches your hustle and grind, and you guys have abundance of income? A or B? Okay. All right. You don't want to.
So don't nobody want to stay at home wife over here.
It sound like none of y'all want to be stay at home wives.
No.
I want the option. I want the option.
That part.
But I don't want to actually do it.
Like you can, but
I want to be able to tell my boss, I don't need this job.
I don't gotta be here. I can be at home right now. Y'all need me. I don't need y'all. I've done the stay-at-home thing. I don't like it.
Yeah, I feel. All right, question 2. When it comes to communication, do you prefer your partner to give you A, cold, hard, direct truth to get the message across, or B, bite-sized, digestible truth to protect your feelings and ego? This was a tricky one for me.
We'll count it down. 1, 2, 3.
I don't have to say.
You count it.
B. Why B? I'm just.
I mean, just to be honest, man, a man's ego is important. So if you kill it, good luck getting it back.
Big. Like that's okay. I didn't think about it.
I don't. B feels good, but I don't move as much. I move on them A's. Be having me sitting there reflecting.
B don't feel good sometimes because it feels like somebody's pacifying or not telling the whole truth, and then it's hard for me to trust what's really happening. So I'm like, just tell me the truth. Now, I want you to be able to still do that without harshness, right? Give me the direct truth, but do it with love and compassion.
That part.
Don't.
That wasn't A though.
That wasn't an option.
That's what I'm saying.
But that wasn't.
You had
based on her wording, though, that wasn't not A.
She said harsh.
You said cold, hard truths.
That's hence the code. It's cold, bruh.
We got different definitions. Go ahead.
All right, number 3. Would you rather A, stay for the kids and be miserable in the relationship, or B, leave and live life more fulfilled in another relationship?
1, 2, 3.
You know what? This is okay.
Can we talk?
Dog, you can't guarantee you're gonna leave and be happy.
I mean,
yeah, you're right. She was talking to you, shit.
Yeah, that question was hard. You can't guarantee you about to leave and go be fulfilled in another relationship. You could leave and be lonely for
not how the game works, Yusha. It's not how
That's why I chose A. What I chose? I chose A. I was just explaining my delay.
But we said we felt like a lot of men would stay and be miserable for the kids.
Yeah.
We'll get into that.
Yeah, let's get into that later because I have some questions about that one.
All right, next question. Would you rather Be in a completely open and honest relationship with all your cards on the table, or hide your truth and be a lying cheater to protect your partner's image of you.
Sheesh.
Whoa. What happened? Wait, what was
Say one more time, sis.
Come on. Okay. Y'all need to hear that
These
again?
questions are leading.
All right. A was be in a complete open and honest relationship with all your cards on the table. B, hide your truth and be a lying cheater to protect your partner's image of you.
Be a disgusting dog that always goes out to the bar. That shit.
1, 2, 3.
Unanimous.
Now, maybe some of our listeners may be picking B.
That's
If they're honest.
interesting.
Who was gonna choose B publicly?
Yeah, based on how that girl was.
I'm about to say it gotta be the publicly, cause
Yeah.
Right.
Ain't nobody
Gonna admit to
you
that.
know what? I would rather be a dog, for real. Lying and cheating is my thing.
I mean, I don't know about y'all. Black men don't cheat, so
Black men don't cheat.
I like that song.
oh yeah.
Hey, you ain't getting no response from them, bro, at all. Zero.
They was like, okay.
I support Sean on that one. I support Sean. I'm with that
I
one.
think we all have experiences that say otherwise.
Mhm. All right. Next question. Would you rather get married young and build with your partner, or B, wait until you're more mature and established to settle down?
1, 2, 3, go. Oh wow, Colin, you ain't want to be with me no more.
That's all she heard. That's what she heard.
Okay.
You and I have both given people advice to take their time and wait a little.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
I wouldn't recommend.
But don't wait till like it's a range. I feel like it's a sweet spot.
All right. I enjoyed that game.
That was fun.
Yes, that was fun. It made me think a lot about what we have been discussing for the topic overall. Ali, what are you cracking up about, bro?
You should is in his feelings, bro. What's up, bro?
He was like, why I gotta pick A or B though?
Nah, I just, you know what I'm saying? I think for the duality of the A and the B, some of them questions are just wild as hell.
Intentionally,
Like
though.
the hell? Or stay in a relationship or be miserable, or leave and find the love of your life and live your life happily ever after. What kind of shit is that?
I'll be honest with you. I heard a lot of contradictory in people's responses. I ain't gonna say nothing, but I think we're gonna get into it.
We definitely
Yeah.
do.
All right, well, hopefully that comes to the surface. But when we were thinking about this topic, it really stemmed from the level of controversy that we're seeing concerning Black men and Black women online, social media. There's a whole bunch of podcasts now that their whole intention is like tearing each other down. Women are doing it to men, men are doing it to women. Sometimes I look through the comments of those podcast pages and I'm like literally disgusted by what I'm saying. And I was like, dang, like, when did we get here? Like, how did we get to this? Like, when did we become so against each other and everything has become a competition and us versus them, when the reality is we need each other to function, right? So with that, I wanted to start with the Black family, which I believe is the nucleus of it all. And then we'll branch out into other topics, right? So as I'm looking and I'm like, where did this disconnect come from? I'm realizing that it's more than just social media. We're looking at Black divorce rates being twice as much as our other racial groups, other racial counterparts. So we're divorcing at a rate of 30.8% versus whites at 15.1%. So more than double our white peers. Hispanics, 18.5, and Asians, 12.4. The other interesting thing that I noticed when I was looking is that 70% of divorces are initiated by women. So that was very interesting in the game where all the men said that they would stay and be miserable.
And y'all were flighty.
What'd you say?
And y'all were flighty.
Yeah. And I think that the data is telling us that that's true. The other thing that caught me off guard, and this is the last stat that I'll get into before we open up, is that from the last 50 years, right? It used to be back in the 1970s that 20% of Black women were not married or had never been married. Now we're at almost 50%. 48% of Black women have never been married, as opposed to our white counterparts at 23% today. That data is sobering to me. And it made me look into all these questions and trying to figure out the reasons. But the biggest question that came off the top of my head and what I want to start with is, what is the disconnect? So I'll open the floor and I'll start with the fellas though, but offhand, why do you guys think we are divorcing more than twice as much as the next racial group?
Go ahead, Ali.
Nah, this charged me to do my own research, to be honest with you, right? And I want us to have this conversation with an open heart, and I'm gonna speak from a male perspective, right? And I might catch some bullets for this, but I want to really have a real conversation so we can give women an opportunity to respond to this. So when I heard this stat, like 70% of women initiate divorce, right? And then the question, some people was like, yo, I'ma stay. I think if you compare it to the other cultures, right, Black women's values or priorities ain't marriage or family no more. It's financial independency, right? And in the question, right, in terms of being a wife, a stay-at-home wife, or doing the grind, some of y'all said y'all want the option and in the option, which is great, but in your response was, I don't have to do this. Why? Because you're financially independent. Financially independency, right, has grown into not necessarily what we internally wanted to be, right, has grown into, I don't need you, right? And so that has been conditioned for for years, decades, since slavery, right, to separate a Black man or the need for the Black man to a Black woman. So I'm going to stop right there and say that, like, that's a part of it. And I'm going to elaborate on that. But it's been conditioned, and we and women have accepted that, right? You have accepted the fact that, like, I don't need him. And if he F up, I can walk away. 70% of y'all said, I'm going to initiate this shit because I don't need this nigga. But
and I think, to your point, Ali, that's a real truth. And as we were discussing the topic with the ladies, I told them that there has been times in the past, that's not something I've said like in recent years at all, but earlier on in our marriage, I have said that to Colin in a heated argument. I don't need you. I don't need this. And I'm like, that is completely unacceptable for a wife to say to her husband. And I do think that finances play a big role in that because, we start feeling maybe a little bit too independent. But then I think that there's a root cause of that too, because where does that even stem from? Because a lot of us have had to be independent, even if we're taking it back to childhood and, all of that plays a part into our relationships. I've had to fend for myself a lot. So it's like a personal, not even an attack to Colin or to a man, but it's like a personal defense for myself to be able to be like, I don't need nobody.
Yeah, to that point, I watched my mom do it. That was her favorite line. And I don't know if I've adopted unconsciously the way that she was, her anger, watching her raise 6 kids by herself. That gave a lot of anger. It gave a lot of resentment. And so she taught me you need to have your own so that you don't have to depend on a man, because at any given moment, if he disagrees or you disagree with him, you gotta go or he's going to treat you bad, and you don't have to stay to take that. And so subconsciously, I think, yes, I agree with the statement that women are feeling like they don't have to be there, but I don't think it's acceptable to say that to your husband. However, I think certain situations cause for different reactions, because if you're in an abusive marriage and that man is using that as leverage to say that if you do not agree with me or abide or do the things that I want you to do, then whatever the consequence. But women don't have to stay in those situations just because of that. And so,
yeah, I can agree with you, Ali, because my mother taught me to always be financially independent. Want your man, don't need him. And if he was ever to just get up and leave, you need to be able to stand on your own 2 feet. So I have adopted that mindset. I want you, but I don't need you. But I try to be conscious of not treating you like I don't need you.
Yeah.
Because my feminine energy needs your masculine energy to bring me that balance, right? But even going back to that 70%, I would like to know what percentage of those women took all that they could in that marriage before they filed for a divorce. Because I think that matters.
Definitely.
Yeah. So I know, Sean, you had a point you wanted to jump in on. I didn't want to. I was gonna wait after you.
Nah, go ahead.
Okay. So yeah, I want to come back to what you just said, Mary, but to kind of like related to what Ali said about that, and he was getting into like reason, like that conditioning behind it. But what we don't know, right? I don't know what this feels like. I know what it feels like to be a minority in America, right? I do not know what it feels like to be a double minority. And I say double, even though women are the majority numerically, like women are treated like a minority as well. They are an oppressed group. And so to be a woman and a Black woman, like that years of that, I don't know what that feels like, to where it may build up this thing, like Michelle was saying, where it's just like, man, ain't nobody got my back, not even a Black man, right? Because in my experience, even my own people don't always have my back, right? So I'm sure that produces a level of, after some time and getting some more rights, like, oh yeah, we're gonna get ours now. We're gonna do the independent woman thing. But the challenge, the pushback, I want to say what you just said, Mary, like that mindset of like, I want you, but I don't need you. Like, is that true? Like, do you really feel that way? Or like, were we created and designed to need each other? Like, what would our family structure look like if we changed it to like, nah, I do need you, and we're like, and I need you. You know what I'm saying? Like, what's this? Like, nah, we actually thrive together, not separately.
Yeah, I would add to that because I definitely agree. But I would add to that, even beyond the like what you may perceive as the need. You may need the other person because that's God sending you somebody to allow you the opportunity to grow internally. You know what I mean? And I think that is where the breakdown comes from in a lot of instances, is that we basically give up before the grow up, right? Mm-hmm. Like the natural inclination to fight or be flighty or to freeze in a situation or be a pleaser, right? I think that I personally believe that we all have two of those four that are the majority. Like, I'm a fighter, but I'm also a freezer. And there's a good and there's a bad with that, right? But then when you face that friction, when you face that opportunity for growth, how do you act under pressure? And I think that in addition to culture, which was kind of spoken to from Ali, but then also just having an option. Once you start to realize that you, quote unquote, have an option, you look at the other option as something that's more feasible, right? It's a bad situation.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Yush.
Yeah, after processing all of that, there was a video I posted a while back from Miles Monroe that literally talked about, if you don't know the purpose of a thing, you will abuse it, right? You will have an abnormal use for a thing that you don't understand the purpose for. And I think we do so much of trying to remove faith from our life, trying to remove God from like our decisions on a day-to-day, holistically, maybe not individually, but holistically, that we lose the spiritual and faith-based context of what marriage is, right? And what is it for? I believe through my faith, right, that marriage is the institution that God ordains for all of us, if possible, but it's the institution He ordains to bring us into our higher self. What type of leader do you have to be? What type of lover do you have to be? Compassionate person all of the greater qualities of humanity comes out when you have to figure out how to love somebody that you can't escape, right? Unless you're being, beat, physically harmed, or put in a place of like danger. We could also say verbal and emotional abuse, but all of us at some point have probably been verbally abusive because a lot of us come from the project, from the hood. Like we talk shit to each other. So we got to figure that shit out too, right? But it's like God put you here to form you into your higher self through this marriage. And there's a saying that I love too that says, when God loves you, he puts you through the fire. We just hate the fire. We love it from a distance. We'd be like, oh, the light, the candle, the light. I want to be close to the candle. And then you get close to the candle, you like, oh, this motherfucker hot. And you don't want that burn. But it's that burn that brings out the ore in you, right? That turns this substance that you are, who you've been, into this great material, this great leader, this great wife. Like, imagine what you're becoming. So it's really a piggyback off what Sean said, right? Many of us leave before the grow up because we don't want that toughness. We don't want that struggle.
And many of us admire those that have been through the fire, right? We see them on the other side and we admire them. We salute them. We owe respect to them. But going through it, it's like, I don't need this shit. So
I want to add to that real quick. Kudos to Michelle. Kudos to Chance and his wife, the people from Eden, North Carolina. I can't remember her name, but I know her name. I'm just having a brain fart. Those who we've been looking at as couple goals, who are now coming out and talking about the most troubling times of their marriage and how they got past it. Because so many people is like, couples goals like, dog, you don't get to where they are without the shits. They went through the shits.
And that's why I don't even like the whole couple goals term at all. You've never seen me use it. You'll never see me use it. And I hate it. Because if I told you what it takes, you probably would not.
Yeah.
And that's the problem. That's the problem. I feel like that's the problem right there.
Yeah, you
go ahead, Ali.
Not the work.
Nah, we gotta move on, man. You know, I'm ready to break it up even down more though. We can keep going.
So basically, in conclusion, y'all saying that men are better at sticking it out through the fire.
No. And we about to get into that. Because I think what we're saying is men are better at causing the fire.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Let's get into it.
Well, that you want us to stick it out through.
How did you pull that out of the conversation? So like,
ladies, is that not?
No, that's real. I mean,
Mary even alluded to it. She said, "Yeah, I mean, a lot of us, that 70%. How much did they take before they left?"
Yeah, but that only speaks to one. All right, it's cool. It's cool.
No,
brother.
Because I feel like that's true, right? But I feel like enough credit isn't being given to the reason why niggas fuck up. Like, you gotta understand, bro. Like,
we gonna get it. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, right. That's what I'm talking about. You talking about to a dude who was raised by a single mother, right? So I wasn't raised by my daddy, who could have showed me how to be a man. Right?
If he knew how to be a man.
In a system, right? And I know a lot of brothers who go to the system who want their kid, but the system give it to the mother. So how you expect a nigga to be raised by a man? How you expect him to know how to be a man by the time you meet him when he ain't been raised by a man?
And as a woman, how can you have an expectation of what a man needs to do or achieve if you have not had a representation of what that looks like?
And not give him grace.
But
because you didn't understand what it looked like to be in a household with another man and see him go through it. So, like, to me, it's been conditioned at a very, very youthful age before you get to me, the man. I've been conditioned already, dog. I've been in a bubble. So you expect me to be this righteous man, but yet you on your financial independency, and then like we're clashing. We're clashing.
So the cycle of the broken family just continues.
Yeah, we fuck up. Yes, we do. We gonna fuck up.
And the moment you tell me you don't need me, I don't feel safe here.
That's why I said that shit about the ego. But hey y'all, this shit.
Yeah,
it's right here. Yeah.
Yeah.
Act like you don't need me. I don't feel safe.
That's one of the things I wanted to get to, safety, right? And how important is that? Because I think that when we talk about safety, normally we are thinking about the women. I know for me, when I think of safety, I think about women. Yeah. I think about how are men supposed to make us safe, right? It's y'all duty to protect us. Y'all supposed to make, even as my brothers. When I'm with Sean and something happens, I expect that Sean, and he is, going to step in. I expect Ali going to step in. You know what I'm saying? So we are accustomed to that, but we don't often think about making our men feel safe. And the men around us, not just our husbands, but how am I making my brother feel safe as well? So can y'all speak to that for us, because that does not get a lot of light.
You still in my question, Shell.
Oh, I'm sorry. It flowed right into it. I'm like, oh.
I go sometimes in the podcast. I'm gonna say that when you ask that question, what was going through my mind is that, and I can speak for myself, but probably most men do not advocate for our safety either, right? Like when women feel unsafe, they're gonna let you know that they feel unsafe. They're gonna express it. They're gonna demand it. And for me and a lot of men, it's almost like that's soft, for like, nah, man, like I'm good. Like just keep moving. Like we talked. I think it was another thing we did before. We talked about, do you express your feelings and this and that? It's like sometimes. Like a lot of stuff, I just be like, all right, whatever. It's irrelevant. Let's keep moving. I don't know if it's to like being a problem solver, being solution oriented, just taking it on the chin and just keeping it moving. But like, does it feel good? Do I desire it? Are we healthier when I feel safe and when we communicate about what it looks like for me to feel safe? Yes. But do I naturally demand it and advocate for it? No. I don't.
Yeah, I'm with Colin on that. I think I would have never asked for safety a year ago plus, right? So a year ago, before, I would have never asked for safety. But I know for sure that processing that now through therapy, I wasn't safe in relationships before, but I didn't know how to communicate that. So what I did, right, in the past, and this goes to what Ali said when men fuck up, when I didn't feel safe, what I did was I removed my emotions from the scenario. I still showed up as a good man because I have a high moral character, so I'm going to do the right thing. Even if I kind of get caught up in some bullshit, in the end, I'm still going to do the right thing. And so that became my grounding. Like, dog, what are you talking about? I'm going to do the right thing. Like, why are you tripping? But I know she tripping because she like, well, dog, I don't feel your feelings here no more. Where your feelings at? And what I'm saying is I had to remove my feelings because you kept stepping on them shits. And if I left my feelings in play, I'd cuss your motherfucking ass out every day. But to not do that to you, I just stopped being emotionally present, because if I was emotionally present, you break me.
Or to add, because I agree with what Yusha just said, or if you are a good man let me preference this. First, I believe that you have to identify what safety is for you, right? And I'm going to just use myself as an example. I didn't really know how to even identify and be able to understand for myself what safety meant for me until I was like 30, right? Once you identify that, you then have to work to articulate that. And I wasn't able to articulate that for about maybe 4 or 5 years from being able to actually identify it for myself, right? And so to add to what Yusha was saying, because I completely agree, I think that is very important for us to exist in a space where we are possibly being even taught some of those things through you all's actions, maybe because it comes a little more natural to you all, right? And then that's how we are able to grow and balance each other's energy. But in addition to that, if you are a good man and you are in a terrible space and you feel as if your feelings are continued to be stepped on, you may remove that, because naturally as a good man, you have to become a shell of yourself, quote unquote, to then be able to still provide for your family, right? And that could possibly lead to why more men are prone to staying within a terrible position, because you still desire to protect, to provide for your family, despite how you feel and what you're experiencing.
Facts.
That makes sense. That makes sense.
Okay. Before we move into, go ahead, Ali.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say, before we move into the next topic, I do find it important to hit on this, Yusha and Sean. I want to know, what factors do you think contributed to your divorce?
So I'll go first. So definitely past experience, and when I say that, for me, it had a lot to do with, so like I grew up with my mom and dad in that same house. They were married. They did not get divorced until I was about 25, right? However, I grew up in that household, never seeing them show affection to each other. I never really saw them hold hands. I never saw them kiss. I never saw what it looked like for my dad to protect and cover my mother when she felt, a certain way, when she was emotional, like what that meant or what that looked like to like run to your man and he make you feel comfortable. So I say all of that to say I was conditioned in a certain way. And then when I got married, that was literally my very first relationship where I heard the concerns from the female, but I actually took it into account, right? Mm-hmm. So you talking being married, having this union and being legally binded, but now I'm trying to process, like, she's telling me these things and I really do care, so let me try to work on it, but this is my first rodeo.
Yeah. Respect.
In addition to just being ignorant and young, right? You know what I mean? At that time, I was not who I am now, right? So I can't discount that either.
Yeah, I was gonna say, to your point though, 60%. It said something like 60% of those who get married between 20 and 25 and then divorce. So.
Yeah, I was 24 when we got married. When me and my ex got married, expectations, and that's a big word because it's all the things that lead to expectation. But expectations, that was one specific thing that led to the divorce. But the things that led up to cultivating an energy for where that thing could even happen was all about expectations, uncommunicated expectations, expectations not being met, unrealistic expectations, expectations that was based on where we come from, what we dealt with, how I thought a woman should show up, how she thought a man should show up. We didn't create a new reality together. We just came in with like, why you ain't doing what I thought you was going to do? Why you ain't the man I thought you was going to be? Like, expectations.
Yeah, if I could add one thing to that, because he just said something that really sparked a thought. It also starts with the foundation that you build, right? When you think about a house, you have to build a firm foundation for your house to be able to withstand the elements, to be able to stand the test of time, so on and so forth. So if you're pouring that foundation wrong, there's a greater chance for it to crumble. And the reason why I say that is because, not to discount other people's ideology, however, where I am now, I don't subscribe to having an expectation for anybody else other than myself. What I do have for my wife is a hope and a desire, because I think that when we go into things with certain expectations for other people, you set yourself up for failure because that person is imperfect, right? That person is never going to be perfect. And so when you have an expectation for somebody, you are automatically setting yourself up to fail and potentially not leaving room for that person to genuinely grow into even what you hope and desire.
Yeah. And I think that's why, Colin, to your earlier point, that's why I don't recommend people getting married so young, because there's so much at stake, and then you're trying to figure so much out about yourself, and you're getting married and becoming one with somebody before you realize and have identified who you even are. Yeah. And so then you get confused, you get frustrated. I remember a time of deep, deep resentment towards Colin, because I felt like I woke up one day and I was just like, who the fuck am I? Like, who am I? I've been with this man since I was like 19, 20 years old. Got married at like 24 years old. And it's just been like, I've always been attached to this man. And so I can fully understand why the majority of people don't make it when they enter at that age. So that's what we mean when we say, hey, that might be your soulmate, that might be your life partner, but we can put the pause on that. Like, what is the rush? And that's what his parents said to us when we first got engaged. What's the rush? Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh, they some haters. They hating on us. They got married early and they made it 45 years, but they hating on us. And I had that conversation with my mother-in-law. I said, Mom, I just want to tell you, I'm so sorry. She just bust out laughing. She said, if I tried to explain it to you at that time, you wouldn't have understood anyway.
Brother, the first time my therapist asked me, who are you, or something like that, without using your wife or your kids, in the response. And I sat there and I was thinking and I was thinking and I was thinking and I had nothing. I got emotional because I was just like, oh, who the frick am I? Who am I?
Yeah, that creates work on both sides though. I just seen a podcast the other day where these ladies were like, they single, they in their late 30s, early 40s, and they complaining. They like, yo, our predecessors, our parents, our aunties told us, nah, wait, figure out who you are, learn yourself before you get married. And they like, dog, now we here and we ain't moving, like marriage ain't really showing up on the table for us. Like we feel like we missed the window, which, you know, is, you may have missed the window, you may not have missed the window. Who knows what God is saying for you. But what I'm also saying is that Colin and Michelle, y'all got a chance to know yourselves, but you also know who you are in a relationship. There are people who are going to be like, nah, I want to learn myself right. I want to know myself. And they going to know themselves at 36, but they not going to know who they are in a relationship. And so either way, there's going to be work that they got to do because they got to figure out how to know themselves in a relationship. If y'all got divorced, no, I don't want to speak that on y'all, right? But in the moment of divorce, and I'm sure there's some other people in here who can speak to that, you then have to learn who you are outside of that.
Yeah.
Again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's actually the perfect segue, because you said something very important. Those women were saying, oh, my ancestors or my aunties, they were saying that we should have been married at this point, or I should have been at least settling down at this point. And I think that a part of the disconnect is that we're operating from two different pages of the book. Like this is totally opposite. So what young men are taught when they're younger, and all of y'all can attest to it, is that the more females you have, the more power you have, or the more you playing around as you're younger, you play in the field, the better. Not being in a committed relationship. I know I can speak from my brother's standpoint of they were told to be players, versus us young women who were taught to aspire for marriage, and you need to be learning how to cook and learning how to clean and doing all the things. And so how can we ever come together and connect when we're operating from two totally different dynamics? When you're taught that that's how you should be, and we're taught that this is how we should be, and then when we get together, we don't know how to operate, because my expectations is that you already should know this, and your expectations is that I should be giving you more grace. And so that disconnect takes us to the single parenthood. And so after divorce, right, it's either going to be a single father or a single mother, unless they remarry, right? And so I'm not sure, the statistic says that there are 4.15 million Black single mothers. 4.15 million. And so my question is, do you guys think that women set out and say that, oh, I want to be a single mother? Do you think your mother, Ali, as a single mother, aspired to be a single mother?
Absolutely not. I think most people, specifically women, desire to be in a partnership and companionship. So to answer your question, no.
Yet the rate, and so we were talking about the divorce being the woman initiating so that takes us back to the this or that question, because the question was that, would you rather stay and stick it out, or would you leave? And then with the women, so if you can agree, I would like for Colin, Yusha, and Sean to answer that question as well, please.
Nah, I don't think women want to be single mothers. I don't think they want to do it on their own.
Yeah, no, of course not. I was sitting here calculating like how many Black women. I wanted to know the percentage of that number. But,
I'm gonna break down some percentages. I am.
Yeah, but no, of course not. I don't think that's the goal at all.
I would agree. I would say no. I do not think that is the goal. However, it did birth a question in my head of, out of that, how many are willing to grow and willing to drop baggage to be able to essentially be in a relationship?
Mm-hmm. That's a good question. Okay, so with that being said, I'm going to compare it to, so I'm staying in the Black realm because we're Black. Number one, Black children, 46% of Black children live with their mother only, while 42%, which was very surprising to me because I didn't even know the number was that high, but 42% of Black children live with two parents. So the other percentage is that 5% live with fathers only. only 5% compared to the women who have 46% by themselves. And then 7% of those kids, y'all, don't live with either parent. They're either a ward of the state or they live in a foster home.
What?
And so, yeah, this is actually stats from this year. Of all children in America, 70%, y'all, live with two parents. So that's all of the kids. 70% live with two parents. 21% of those kids live with their mother only. And so when I'll go to the other ones. 4% live with their fathers only, and then the other 4% live with neither, or they're wards of the state. And so with this data, which is kind of concerning, where do you think that disconnect happens to where we're having so many more single Black moms than any other of the breakdowns?
The lack of knowing the purpose of your body. And I'm a person who likes to speak far right, but I'm a middle thinker, right? So I want to get people emotionally invested in things, so I'll speak far right, but I'm gonna always bring it middle. We are living in a condition where sexual freedom is being preached more than anything, right? Be free, be free, be free, be free. And I'm not religiously, I'm not going to get into that. But when you have this level of sexual freedom and you're not practicing guarding yourself in that way, then we're having more kids outside of wedlock, right? And God is not saying, when God talks about it, God is not saying, hey, I don't want you to not have sex. God is saying, I want you to be married before you start engaging in these certain activities because the outcome of the act that you're doing, it has a designed way in which it's supposed to work. Marriage, the union of marriage, is the proper way to bring up children because of the dynamics of your children getting both the feminine and the masculine energy and having that full growth. We continue society in the best way when we do it God's way. We ain't doing it God's way. And so a lot of what we need to even bring the man and the woman back together is the spiritual work that we need to do individually to choose to do it God's way. But that's the forefront of that. Everything else is kind of like, there's so many different nuances to how this shit lands. But if we're directly speaking about single mothers after divorce, a lot of it I've heard it is this concept of like the kids belong to the woman or them my kids. You know what I'm saying? And I've seen dudes have to go to the third degree to even have to spend time with their kids because of the pain body, the ego version of the woman, the pain body operating at such a high level that she's using the kids to punish the man. Like, it's just who you benefiting. You know what I'm saying? You need to step outside of, it's cold, but you need to step outside of your emotions and still do what's right too by them kids.
Yeah. Yeah, I think a lot of, to what I'm saying, the conditioning, man. The reason why people leave, why women are leaving, right? You talked about they want to be in a relationship, but like, what's the reason they're leaving? I don't think women are leaving as much for adultery than, you know, they were in the past than they are now. There are other reasons, right, that women are leaving, either abuse or this man financially can't support us and the kids, right? And that goes back to where I was saying that, you know, we've been conditioned, the women, the Black women have been conditioned now, right? All right, well, if he cheat, he cheat. But if he hit me, if he can't take care of me, I'm gone, right? So now we've pushed away, like, to your point, Yusha, what adultery is in the Bible, right? We pushed away some spiritual elements, right? And we've uplifted these ideas of freedom. Freedom, one part of being freedom is being financially free. We know Black men at the rate right now ain't keeping up with Black women financially, education wise, right? So what is that doing to y'all? Let's talk about how many the rate of Black women that are now married outside of the race, and how those numbers are increasing because the Black man can't take care of them, right? They find other cultures, other people, right? Other men that got the funds, right? That got the stability, they got the family support and structure to take care of it because they choosing that type of stability versus like, to Sean's point, I'm a fight. I'm gonna uphold family and marriage in this. And I want to say this: it's okay to get involved with somebody when you're young. I've been married and with my younger for 20 years, and Michelle and Colin, y'all been right behind us. So I don't know why y'all saying to wait. but I want to say there's a lot of fruit in being with somebody when you're young. I think what the thing is how you handle stuff, right? The maturity in which how you handle things is what you really kind of got to pay attention to, rather than this concept of like, I'm 19, he 19, and you should talk about it, right? How are you learning? And I'm going along with it. I'm so sorry, but I've been holding this in. How are you learning who this person is, right? You get at 40, and we know it's a lot of 40-year-olds that's still single and still trying to figure out who the fuck they are, right? Yeah. So you're gonna wait, right? Versus finding somebody you can rock with that can kind of help you, which is what it's supposed to be. That's why God got Adam and Eve, right? It's supposed to help you figure out who the fuck you are. Supposed to help you cultivate yourself. Supposed to help you then build a kingdom, a family. Then that's supposed to go do what they supposed to do. So I'm gonna stop, man. But like, it's a desire, y'all. Like, we ain't desiring each other, and it's because it's conditioned for us to not desire each other.
Yeah. Plus, you desire what you see, man. You desire what you see. Ali hit on something. Carlin, I heard you coming in. Ali hit on something. I don't want to lose it. Ali said, they not being trash. Ali hit on something. He hit on something. I want to follow it up. You know what I'm saying? I want to follow it up. Ali said, women are leaving because, this man can't financially take care of me. All right, cool. This man is struggling to financially take care of you at this moment. So you going to leave and do it on your own? Because you could have did it on your own in the relationship. You know what I'm saying? You could have helped him figure it out. But now you're going to go and just do it on your own. That don't sound like it's getting easier. And the idea that I'm going to leave and go find somebody who can take care of me, that's wishful thinking. That's very wishful thinking, because that ain't what's happening for real at a higher rate. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Like that ain't the grass ain't greener on the other side, but you think it is. You think it's greener because TV, these social media girls out here running around. You think it's greener over here. It's a whole nother. It's not necessarily bad. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to sell that. It ain't dismal, but it's like, if you leave your relationship, you're going to have a problem. If you stay in your relationship, you're going to have a problem. Choose the problem you want to solve.
Mm-hmm. I think I got to jump in right there, because I never intended for my relationship to not work out. And I rode or die until I burned, crashed, and died. Okay. So I was willing to work it out. I wanted to stay in it, even through the difficulty of it. Okay, that's a problem. Let's get help. How can I assist with that? But when the abuse continues and it becomes mental and now it's detrimental to me, it ain't even about going to go find somebody else or going to go be laying in the grass that's supposedly greener on the other side. It was more so for my own sanity and for my own health. Because if I'm not good and I'm in a toxic situation, then my kids are not going to be good as well. And so therefore I have to separate from that, because I've tried and I've tried and I've tried it again, but I cannot try and do things on my own. And so I think that dynamic is a little slippery, because it's not all that, women are just jumping ship because it's not stable, because it's not, he can't take care of me. I would rather him be honest and a great person to me and love me and provide safety and protection than for him to have $1 million and be able to do and take care of it. I would rather us struggle together and we figure out how to do this. In your struggle, in your lack of finance, let's put our resources together. Let's get creative. But your ego couldn't handle that. And so therefore you continued to do what you were doing, which was detrimental to me. And at that point, I got to make a decision.
I think it's important, Ali, for you to say why you were willing to stay. Why? Because I think you saying it is all fine and dandy, but like, you were desiring something that I'm speaking to. Why were you like, nah, bro? Like, we can do this. We can figure this out.
And let the people know how long you stayed too.
I stayed for 14 years. And I was fresh out of college. And so I'm mixing and mingle a lot of these things. I wanted to start young. I thought starting young and building was the way to do it. But to answer your question, Ali, I stayed because I saw his potential. I saw that things could be. I wanted to, And I could have been negatively projecting from what I wanted, which y'all kind of stepped on a little bit or touched on a little bit, but also for something that I didn't even have. I wanted to have a 2-parent household for my children. I didn't grow up with that. And therefore, I wanted to give my children something that I didn't have. And because they were so important to me, I started to waver on things and prioritize their wellness before mine. Because if I leave, I felt like I'm pulling the rug from up underneath of them. But in actuality, I was doing a real disservice to myself, because not only did it give me trauma, but it diminished my light. And it's taken a very long time for me to get back to that. And so it was never about me trying to find grass that's greener on the other side. And for the record, I don't have a desire to date outside of my race. I'd rather be single and work on myself and build my family the best way that God is providing for me, versus staying in a relationship that doesn't serve me. And I rode that thing till the wheels fell off. There was no more riding. There was no more gas in the tank, baby. There was no more wheels on the car. And I still, even in this moment, have grace for the man. I would never say you can't see your children. He's not even on child support. Like this, those things, there are women that exist that are out here in that 4.15 million that are really trying to make it work. But it's the lack of understanding on both parts. Y'all are taught one thing and we are taught a whole nother. And by the time it's time for us to connect, we don't have what it takes.
And that's the point. I want to make and kind of connect the dots, right? Because we initially were talking about marriage and why leaving, right? But then we switched to like the raising your single women, which aren't necessarily connected to marriage at all, right? A lot of these situations, right? And so when we talked about the data of in the marriage, the women initiate divorce, I'm wondering what the data says in the just having kids and the man leaving, right? I wonder if that before we never got married or whatever, right? Because we talked about, and my overall message is we are what we eat, right? We are what we eat. And what we eat is the culture around us, who we hang with, what we expose ourselves to. Y'all talk a lot about social media. We talk a lot about the music we listen to, right? And feed into ourselves. We are what we eat. And so for decades now, for men, the music and the culture and society has told us to be a player, to do this, to do that, to have however many notches on your belt, whatever the case is, right? It has told us to be promiscuous and it's okay, right? So in our younger days, that's what we do, right? And then sometimes a child comes out of that. And y'all talked about, and in the past, for women, it's always like, get married, find a man, get married, find a man. But that data you gave now about the kids out of well, that's from this year, right? That ain't what the food telling y'all no more. The food ain't telling y'all, settle down, find a man. Now the women are being fed, be independent, be promiscuous.
Get your own bag.
Get your own bag. City girls, you know what I'm saying? And then promoting like, suck a nigga dick, eat a this, do a that, fuck a that. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's like, so now it's telling. So now Black culture is telling the men and the women to do you. Yeah. Right? And that's what we're feeding. And if that's what you feed yourself, why would you think any other result would be what we're seeing right now? If that's what you expose yourself to, if that's what we elevate and that's what we put in the pedestal in our culture.
It's not just marriage. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say I'm even hearing the mindset that you don't need a man to have a baby. I know a few women who have gone and had, I'm up in age. I can't find the right man. I'm about to go have the baby on myself, raise this baby. Yeah. And I'm hearing that more and more.
Yeah. That's what we feed in ourselves.
I'm going to tell you like this. My ex-wife is a product of that, right? Her mother, and most of them know this, right? But that was the truth. Like her mother got like 38, was like, I want a daughter. I don't have a daughter. I don't have a right. So she made a deal with a dude. Cool. It worked out. My ex-wife grew up without a father in a sense, right? She grew up without now there were male figures around, but not without a father. And I'm going to be honest, you know what I'm saying? She might be mad at me for saying this, but I'm always going to hold it down on truth. That nigga's emotionally unavailable across the board. Yeah. There was no safe space for her emotions to land. Like there was no father there to like, come here, baby, let me talk to you. And her mother had to teach her how to be hard. So the nigga hard. She DC hard. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So when I show up, there's no way for me to not be hard. Like I have to be hard to survive the relationship because she can't receive my emotions. She can be like, okay. But hey, you know what I'm saying? And so I think women don't realize, people don't realize that God put us together for a reason because we are not a whole person. We are a half. We go together like a puzzle piece. I have an extremity. You have an internal piece. We don't really become one entity until we connect. We two half pieces trying to figure out how to complete the puzzle of life.
Yeah. And then talking about we don't need each other.
Right.
Colin's random fact of the day, when you actually translate literally that Genesis story of Adam and Eve, rib was never taught. It was never about a rib. We added that in there. It was literally, I took part of him. Like I half this dude and it made a woman. So like literally our other half, not a rib.
I'm glad.
Allie said something too that I wanted to sum up. Allie, I love what you said. I just wanted to sum it up because I want people to hear it this way, right? I feel like what you said was, because I asked the question, whether you lead a marriage or you stay in it, you got a problem to solve. What I heard you say is, I did everything I could to solve the problem in my marriage. I just left before I died.
No, I think I actually died and I had to resurrect myself and bring it back, honestly.
Facts.
But you chose your problem and you exerted all of your options.
Correct.
Okay.
Facts. I did want to real quick, you should touch on that point that you said about your ex being hard, because I can relate to that, right? You said DC hard, I'm DC hard. And that's been problematic in my marriage. I think that as time goes on, I am becoming softer. But again, Ali's topic of the impact of the single parent household, I wasn't raised by either parent. I was raised by a grandmother, but coping with a drug addicted mother in and out of prison, a deceased biological father, an alcoholic dad, because I've never called him my stepfather. That was my dad. And all of these things around me. And so that's all I knew how to be. And that really, really impacts us and how we view the world, how we view people, how we view relationships, and how we navigate. And I had a severe lack of trust in anybody. So it's this real, like, and people was like, you just got this shell. I'm like, baby, it's not a shell. Like, this is real life for me, like where I come from. And it's been my life's work to undo that. So I just wanted to make that point, because our childhood shapes us a lot, and you're going to see that baggage in your relationships.
That's actually the perfect segue to go into the next point, because Ali, you said it as well. You said, I wasn't taught to be a man because I was raised by my mother. And a lot of people think they agree with that. Like, well, how can I? And I as a single mother, stayed in that situation because I'm like, I am not a man. And I if I leave, I don't know how my son is going to get what he needs. And so that was another reason or thought that I had, like, I can't teach him how to be a man. And so therefore he will lack. But because I know God, and God spoke to me to tell me to leave that situation, I knew that God would provide for my son, and he has been doing a great job. But that leads to this question of, when there's so many single women, right, single Black mothers, should I say, how can they be feminine when they're having to do both roles?
Like, you don't have to do both roles. And I'm gonna ask the question: how many, in a learning gap, in a learning gap, because there's a gap. We're talking about this gap. How do you close the gap? You pick up a book, you learn about it, you desire to learn more about the topic, so then you can like close the gap.
Educate yourself.
I'm saying this so, and I mean this like the desire for us to like learn each other, dog. Like in that, let me ask you a question. In that 14 years, how many times did you reach out to the opposite sex and have like a conversation about like him, how he's healing, right? How he's healing, how he's processing, right? And how much of that was a balance of talking to your girls, right? And what I'm leading to, right, the desire to wanna like learn about the black man has decreased, right? There's a lot of women only events. I'm glad we're 5 years here now, y'all. I'm glad. No shots fired.
Baby.
I'm glad y'all finally figured out. Not finally, right? I'm glad y'all healed, right? And now, right, it's like, yeah, I should want to know a little bit more about him a little bit more. Which is why I'm saying, you know, like, you were conditioned to think that you didn't need to know about this person before. Like, I'm not saying you are a unicorn and we all listen, we're talking to the choir a little bit, right? But I'm saying the majority of people, right, they will uplift this women's only silo, and then the mix of women's only to men's only to hybrid, right?
Yeah.
Right? There's not a balance. Yeah. So how much do you really know about me? Not just from an intimate side, not from a marital side, but really how much do you know about the black man? Then
to work both ways, though.
But this is what I'm trying to, and then I'm gonna get it. The pressure though is for the black man to really understand the black woman more.
That part, yeah. Because we ain't conditioned.
You understand what I'm saying? Like we conditioned to be like happy wife, happy life.
Yeah.
Right, but you're not conditioned to know about me, not through a marriage, not only through a marriage, but through just a brother, right? A brother. Yeah. I'm preaching to the choir, though. I understand. I'm preaching to the choir. But how many of y'all really sitting down with your brother and learning how he healed, knowing who he is, knowing how he operates, so you can use that tool in your situation?
I agree. I think you do have to dig deeper. Keyword desire. I desired the hell out of trying to figure it out. And I understood, I actually overstood that it was going to take more than situations happening, experiences happening, and I feel like I'm a victim. Okay, well, what is the root? I got to get to the root of this. This is a pattern. This is not a mistake. Let's be clear about it, because mistake, you might have stepped on my shoe one time. A mistake, you forgot to pick up the kids, whatever. No, this is actually a pattern. And now that I've recognized and I've learned this pattern, hey, I've noticed what's going on. Oh, I don't want to talk about this. You're tripping. You're crazy. It's that. Okay, I understand that frustrates you. However, how can I help you to help me? Because I don't understand, and I really want to understand, because I'm the kind of woman that if we come to a resolve, I'm pretty sure we can work this out to where you're getting what you need, I'm getting what I need, and that's going to be that. But if you're not willing, if you don't have the desire to meet me halfway, then this isn't going to work.
Mm-hmm. And that shit is hard, dog. That shit is so hard. And this is no like protection of him. This is all of us as human beings. Any of us are really, and I don't know who on here, but any of us who have really dived into or dove into the work of trying to like remove all pain bodies, all ego, to just sit and know who you are without name, without all of the shit, without all of the branding, without all of the shit that you use to classify yourself. Man, that's the hardest shit in the world to do. That shit breaks you down. Like, it makes you cry. One, because you realize how much shit you fucked up. How much shit you fucked up, being fucked up, and not knowing you were fucked up.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to do that shit, because then you got to look yourself in the mirror and be like, dog, I fucked this shit up. Why did I fuck it up? Because I was fucked up. Oh, they fucked. And you can't undo it. The only thing you can do is just accept. Like for the beginning of this year, I spent the first 3 months just not talking, because I didn't know what the fuck to say no more.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck? I stopped telling people my name. What's your name? Because I knew every name that I gave you was a brand.
Wow.
Who am I without the brands? Who am I without all of the shit you see? And when you have to try to figure that shit out, you don't even fucking know what to say. But who wants to do that shit?
It's uncomfortable.
Good question.
Because you become weird. You become weird. You become weird to your damn self. Like that work that we need to do to remove the shit that's destroying our community is heavy work. But you do it. And why did I do it? Why did I do it? I did it because I wanted to be better for somebody I loved. Love drove me to try to figure this shit out. Love is actually the key. But love gonna feel like that candle burning. And so there's a saying that I love, and Eckhart Tolle talks about it in his book. He says, if you are in a relationship and you do not have peace, you do not have to leave the relationship to find peace. Find peace where you are. If you are not in a relationship, you do not have to get in a relationship to have peace. Find peace where you are. Now, that peace may naturally drive you out of that relationship, and that peace may naturally drive you into a relationship. But changing your outward circumstance does not change your inward circumstance.
Man, that's 100.
Yeah.
I think self-evolution, and I said it in my when I introduced myself, evolutionary goddess, because evolutionary means that it's a gradual evolving of me becoming, right? And so as I evolve and continue to become the highest version of myself, I have to look myself in the mirror and recognize the things that I once did, and then how I'm changing it, how I'm evolving from that. So I can't get into if God should take me there again, I welcome it with open arms. But if I should not, I'm okay with that as well, because I'm living to be the highest version of myself.
If I could though, just to readdress the original question, right? Because I believe your original question was, how can you show up and present yourself in a more feminine way, essentially, when you have to represent both sides, the masculine and the feminine, right? My answer to that, and I think that, well, I know the commonality, the common thread throughout all what we're talking about is developing culture, right? At the end of the day, we don't have a monolithic ideal within our culture that is a stakehold. And when I say that, what I'm saying is there are some cultures that already have predestined professions for their children, right? You're going to be a doctor. You're going to be this. You're going to be that. We have other cultures that already have prearranged marriages, right? Not to say that we have to adopt that. What we do have to do is we have to develop monolithic ideals for our culture. And so to tie that in, what I would say is I would encourage you and anybody else or any other woman, I would say, to be able to show up and truly shine within your feminine space. Find your tribe, right? And so, like, if you just look at everybody on this screen, what would it look like when you get around us? And then as you get around us, I speak to your son and I'm saying, make sure that you open up the door for your mom. Don't let her touch that door, right? Every single time when we all get together with our kids, maybe the daughters bring the young ladies bring the food to the young boys, right? But after that, maybe all of the boys go and wash and dry the dishes. You know what I mean? Before everybody goes to sleep, maybe all of the boys are going around and checking to make sure that all of the doors and the windows are secure, so on and so forth, right? And so as you find your tribe and as we develop that culture, you are then able to show up more as your feminine energy because now you have support that are filling in.
I want to make sure, I answered it real straight, right? And I told you don't have to be. And that's what Sean's saying. You don't have to be the male and the female, right? If you allow other and place yourself around a certain community, you can be you. My mother didn't pretend to be a man. She raised me, and y'all know I'm transparent in my emotions. So clearly, right? Be yourself and let the man raise the man.
Yeah, I understand that. I'm speaking to the everyday piece where I am the protector. I am the provider. I have to be I am the counselor. I am the Uber. I am the coach. I am single-handedly doing all of these things by myself. And so I do understand that showing up and embracing and using my community as a resource. Yeah. However, it's very dual for me because I have to do everything by myself at this point because y'all have lives, y'all have kids. And so I have not locked in with my community or tribe to the point where it can be fruitful in that way. I'm not saying that it won't happen, but everybody has their own things. And so my son is growing up and I don't try to be a man at all. That's not my goal. I'm not a man. I don't know what it takes to be a man. However, I do know what I expect of a man and how to be a good human. And that's what I instill in him, how to be a good human. And then I know how I want to be treated as a woman. And so I instill that in him, the values of how to treat a woman. And so none of it is masculine at all. And I've even tapped in, and we haven't done it yet, but Ali, I definitely say, hey, I need you to tap in with Coach. I need him to come over there when you cutting the grass, or even if you just doing housework, whatever, because I need him to be in the presence of what I consider to be a real man.
Important.
But yeah, we can jump into
I will say though, I genuinely commend you for all that you do. Like, I don't know the intricacies of that, but I can only imagine. And I commend you. And in addition to that, what I will say as encouragement is that your children are far better off with you than without. So you're doing an amazing job just by doing, period.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I really do.
Yeah, I commend you too. Y'all know how we fix this shit, right?
Stop commending and actually fucking
No, all of that. This how we fix the shit. All of us buy houses in the same community, build a community center, and raise our kids together.
Yes.
All we talking about is village. Yeah, village.
Yes.
Tyler and Michelle want to be in Atlanta. So I don't know what we gonna do.
That's where y'all need to be. This is
actually
we in Wakanda. Y'all need to come to Wakanda.
Hey, I
we
mean,
in Wakanda right now.
Come to Wakanda.
I'm already
Look,
dead.
our kids need to marry each other for real.
No, y'all not.
Bruh.
Y'all state went red. I ain't gonna say nothing, but y'all.
Atlanta. We ain't say Georgia. We said Atlanta. Wakanda was hidden, man.
You don't live in Atlanta though, Colin.
There's a lot of unsafe women in Atlanta.
I work in
I ain't gonna say nothing, but you know. Hey, come to PG County, baby.
PG County.
Hey, no, listen. My last year of college, I took a class called City and Urban Development. One of the main reasons why I wanted to move to DC is because I was studying how over time more affluent Black people were moving outside of metropolitan cities, right outside, to create these small pockets of areas where they could create new community. Atlanta was one of those spaces. PG County is one of those spaces. Charlotte was becoming one of those spaces. But the whole idea is that we cannot have the life that we truly desire inside of someone else's ecosystem. We need to move outside and create that shit for ourselves. Like Tyrone, Georgia is one of those spaces. There were spaces where people were doing that over time. And so, you know, they kind of lose that. But the whole goal is like, yo, we need our own land. We need houses. We need to build our own community center in that space. We need churches or synagogues or mosques in that space. We need to bring our kids together. Our kids need to marry each other. We need to figure the whole line out because we need to repopulate the world with this.
No shade to the white chocolate city, but I'm just saying down here in the South,
white chocolate city.
We can do it.
White chocolate.
That's what it is.
And we're not in Atlanta, but for the record, our county was blue. So. All right, let's transition into still standing telephone, right? And this is going to lead us into our communication piece of how we communicate so differently. So let's try this out. I'm going to pick a person to say it to. I say it one time and one time only. You have to repeat it as best as you can or for what you think you heard to the next person. But make sure you call people by name so they can know who's next. You pick whoever you want. I pick somebody, you pick somebody until everybody's called, okay? And we're going to see what we end up with at the end. And y'all already don't listen, so this will be interesting.
So is this a game of memory or communication?
Both.
Sound like both.
All right, still standing telephone. Colin, let me tell you what's on my mind. And boy, I swear you'll think I'm lying. It's been lots of tears and lots of crying, but I'm still standing. Ain't no denying.
What?
And you was laughing at all that. Let me tell you what's on my mind. Go ahead.
He gave you 16 bars, baby. Colin, how do you respond?
Colin,
you gonna say it once. You only gonna say it once.
Oh, they gonna say it once.
Yeah, but you gotta say it right if you ain't gonna say it once. You can't have all these.
Y'all cheating. Last time. Y'all
you might know it. Go ahead, Kyle.
Last time. Yeah, last time. Go ahead.
Don't look at
y'all cheating. Ali, don't write that down. What are you doing?
Cheater! Hey, you ain't nothing,
Greatness takes notes. Ali, greatness takes notes.
Bro, that's cheating.
Colin, Let me tell you. Put that away. You cannot use notes. Colin, let me tell you what's on my mind. Boy, I swear you'll think I'm lying. It's been lots of tears and lots of crying, but I'm still standing. Ain't no denying.
All right, Ali, let me tell you what's on my mind. It's been lots of tears. No, something about me being
Ali
fine.
right now.
It's been lots of tears over time, but I'm still standing. Type shit. I don't know. Something like
All right, Ali, go ahead, Ali.
Colin, let me tell you what's on my mind.
You got somebody else.
Mary, let me tell you what's on my mind. It's been a lot of goddamn crying. And I swear if I told you, you thought I'd be lying. But I'm still standing.
One more time.
Ain't no
One more time.
Y'all, this is a game of memory for me.
Okay.
Let me tell you what's on my mind. You might think I'm lying, but I'm still standing.
Wow. All right.
I just set you up right there. Sorry.
Ali, let me tell you what's on my mind. It's been a whole lot of crying, but I'm still standing. Ain't no denying.
Okay. Yusha, let me tell you what's on my mind. It's been a lot of crying. You swear I'm lying, but I'm still standing. Ain't no denying.
Michelle, let me tell you what's on my mind. If I told you, you swear I'm lying. It's been a lot of tears and a lot of crying, but I'm still standing. Ain't no denying.
Hey, Yusha!
That's why I didn't start with you, because I'm like, the rapper gonna get it right.
He gonna get
That's
it.
why I started with Colin, because I knew he was going to fuck it up.
I tried.
But no, y'all, that was just a little fun way to break it up
good.
and just to see. I wanted to see how different the message would be when it got to the end, but even the people, when you pass it on, I feel like the message remained pretty consistent, even though some of the words might have got changed. But that was funny.
That's not cheating. I was supposed to say what Ali told me, not what I remember.
Right. You went back to the beginning.
Tom told me.
You would have told, right?
Impressive.
I wasn't telling. I remembered all the information. I remembered all the information.
Saved us.
It's by Rudy R. Kipling. I
Saved us
still
tonight.
know all 32 stanzas.
Appreciate you.
Yeah, so this takes us into
I'm sorry.
this takes us into our next topic, communication and love languages. So I'm gonna just kick it off with a question. I want to start with the guys. In your opinion, what is the top communication barrier between men and women, inside and outside of romantic relationships?
Ego.
The top communication issue.
Yeah, the barriers.
All right, so Ali said ego.
I would agree with Ali, the ego, and then I would follow it up by niggas not knowing the dictionary.
What did you just say?
I said earlier, I love to speak far and then bring it to the middle. But what I meant was that niggas be using words and don't know the real definition.
It be mainly you, but my answer is I truly believe that women hear with their heart and men hear with their mind.
All right. My answer.
That sounds so esoteric, but it meant nothing. Go ahead.
Hey, Brian.
So beautifully said. But what does it mean?
What it means is that we communicate in different languages.
Yeah.
Men, we have.
She said that. She said why?
Men, we have. I'm about to tell you the why. Men have the desire to solve. Typically, like when you're telling us something, it's not. We don't necessarily always understand, and sometimes we have to slow ourselves down enough to really, and maybe even truly ask you: is this something you just want me to listen to? Is this something that you want me to hear you out on? Or are you bringing this to me because you want my opinion, right? I think default as men, we typically go straight to the end like, okay, let's solve it. Like, I hear you, and I'm bypassing about 10 emotions that maybe you wanted me to cling to, because all I'm hearing is, how do we solve it so we can move forward? Whereas I think that is opposite with women. And the detriment in that from a women's standpoint is that a lot of times this is what I would say. Typically, men don't necessarily have a lot to say, but when men do talk, you should really listen, because they are trying to say something, whether their intention and what they want you to grasp and your perception is different, it's still a reason why a man is saying it.
I'm going to say that the number one issue in communication, period, like not just marriage, not romantic relationships, business relationships, friendships, coworkers, everything, is because in all the busyness of life and lifing, and we in the rat race, we do not take the time to prioritize healthy communication. That's why.
I'm gonna say the biggest barrier is people be long-winded for no reason.
Man,
because I be very much sitting there listening, like, get to the point, and then my mind just starts drifting if the point doesn't come pretty soon.
You are nigga.
So that means you're not listening to listen. You listening to respond.
Yeah, I'm married to Colin.
He's an educator.
It's a lot to listen to.
Y'all are a good balance for each other, though. I will say that.
Agreed.
Because Colin gonna give you a 30-minute setup before you even get into what he talk about.
Context matters.
That's
Look at that on the shirt. Context matters.
Can I ask y'all a question?
Yeah, Michelle. Yeah, Michelle. But I don't know if you can handle a man who just came to you and always just went right at you.
Right at me.
Not that you couldn't handle him, but I think y'all
exactly.
You mean at me?
Colin has been used to navigating you. That's why he speaks to you like that. He's learned to speak to everybody like that. I commend him on it all the time, because he does soften the blow before he tells you the thing. But I also know you enough to know that if he just came out and gave you the whoop whoop blam blam blam, you be ready to fight it. You know what I'm saying? He speaks like he do because of you.
Yeah, because we love each other now as brother and sister, but you hated me at first because you're not used to that.
It's just shortening it.
Michelle said, "This is not my session."
First of all,
Sean was talking a bunch of bullshit. That's why.
Can I ask y'all a question to that?
Mary and Ali didn't answer.
Mary and Ali got a say.
Yeah, everybody else did, but them two.
Oh, everybody's supposed to answer this. So what is the barrier to?
What's the number one barrier?
Trust. I think trust and safety. I think people don't feel like they're gonna be heard or understood, and so they tend to, I guess, retreat and not be honest because they don't trust that they're safe.
Yeah.
Or that it'll be received.
Yeah. I think for me, one of the barriers could be how we hear, and that's something I'm working on now. Am I hearing you from my wounded space? Hearing you from my, from my heart? Like, where am I hearing you from? Because that makes a difference, and that goes back to what you said, Sean. Women hear with their hearts, but sometimes women hear from the wounds that was created, the childhood trauma. And then
you're defensive. And you really can't hear after you're defensive because you feel attacked.
Yeah.
So, you fighting a battle you don't even know you fighting.
Exactly.
Well, that was my question actually to Sean. I mean, to what Sean said, and it's funny you mentioned that, Mary. So when you go to the black man or your significant other, right, or your husband, what's your expectation? Are you going for resolve? Most of the time, right? When you sitting there, right? Because I'm gonna tell you, I feel like most of the times you coming to me, you're trying to navigate and figure something out. That's what I'm just feeling like. And even as my role as a black man, it seems like when my role is to figure it out, is to resolve it.
Yeah.
Right. Whether it's the bathroom, whether it's whatever issues, the kids are having such and such, fix it. So when you come and talk to me, like, is the expectation for you to for the man to help you resolve whatever you want to express?
I've learned, even when talking to my husband, because man wants to solve, and I think Sean, you hit on this. I think I have to be clear. I just need you to listen to me. I don't need you to try to fix what I'm saying or come to my rescue. I need a sounding board. I need a shoulder to lean on. I don't want you to fix it. And that helps him, like, okay, he gets out of that I need to protect and serve mode. So I'm finding that works. Letting him know what my intentions for coming to him is.
On the front end.
I think my bad. I think that's great. I would also say, just as another perspective, and I'm gonna speak for myself. Typically, when my wife speaks to me, I already have 7 things on my mind, right? Mm-hmm. And so, not to say that it's right, because it's not right, but I find that if I have not slowed myself down enough to then understand what her desire is, and maybe her desire is for me to just listen, I take a sidestep to hear what she has to say, but default to trying to find the solution so I can get back to my thoughts, right? When she comes to me and then sets the environment to say, hey, I would like to talk to you for X, Y, and Z reason, now I'm able to slow myself down because I'm identifying what the actual ask is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Mary, I was just going to add that I found that to be true even outside of my marriage. When I'm talking, y'all know I got a number of guy friends, very close guy friends. Sean, when I talk to you, you're the same way with me as a sister. Sometimes I could be calling just to vent, calling just to release, let some things out. But every man in my life, he goes straight to
fix,
like solution. And it's like a rush thing where I don't even get to finish what I was trying to say, because they're automatically thinking about the solutions.
Yeah. I agree. In several of my relationships or male relationships, that has been my experience as well. As soon as I start to vent my frustrations, boom, solution. Sometimes I just want you to hear me out and provide a safe space for me to just vent.
So should y'all just not come to us for that and go to each other for that, and then just come to us when you need the problem solved? Is that the
we
answer?
Are bridging the gap, baby.
Yeah,
we need it
to support us. We want to be able to have you there and lean on, to have your shoulder, because that masculine energy does make us feel safe. And so if we're flustered, whether that be at work or with the kids or in a female friendship, if I'm having this frustration, I'm actually looking for safety, and that safety doesn't always mean fix. It doesn't always mean
going into my working and winning, but
that's major.
And babe, if we did start doing stuff like that, then we're going to come into, because there's been plenty of times where you came to me and was like, dang, I heard you talking to such and such on the phone about something I didn't even know about that. Something that happened at work. Some, it could be small things, but you hadn't even told me about that. So I don't want to make a habit of doing that, especially since you've already expressed that, you don't like that, to just go to my girlfriends to get my stuff off. I want to be able to come to you and to my brothers, because there is value in the male perspective. Ali, you hit on that earlier, how we quite literally need each other. And I want to do better in that space, because what men have offered to my life is invaluable and it's necessary.
I mean, think about when men fuck up. They then can have a sister to like, hey, yo, like,
you're wildin',
Michelle, bro, like so and so. But I guarantee you, niggas don't have a girlfriend that they can really like. A majority of them don't have somebody that they can, a female they can rap to about it. It's always like, I gotta call the homie, like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I mean, I think the thing is, my bad, Colin.
Well, I was just gonna say briefly, like, and to Sean's point, what I had to learn and what we have to do in order to be available to be a better listener and to listen to you vent is we have to learn, Black men, this is what we need to do to help bridge the gap. We have to learn how to slow ourselves down. I know that life has told us we got to just go, do, provide. But we killing ourselves, literally. So we have to learn how to slow down, how to create some boundaries in our personal space and in our friendships and in our whatever, to be able to, like, all right, what does it look like to just listen? We just be present in the now and in the moment. Go ahead,
and I like that. I think that's what go back to what Sean was saying too. I think Sean is saying that too. When his wife comes to him and prefaces the conversation and says, hey, I need such and such, it gives him the opportunity to choose to be present in that moment. But I'm also, I'm very village minded. I don't know if y'all can tell, I'm village minded. So because I'm village minded, I'm also say, you don't need to just say, we act like we only need to have a conversation one time. Like it's not a bad idea to take the conversation 2 or 3 times to your 3 different networks to get the different perspectives, right? Proverbs say a man or woman, right, who rejects wise counsel is looking for destruction. And so you may have wise counsel among your girls. So you take the conversation there, they listen, they offer something. You might take that same conversation to your therapist and they listen, they offer, you might come back into your husband and offer that conversation there. And you know, he's going to offer you solutions. And so it's not just as necessarily like, man, you know, don't come to me with the conversation, take it to your girls. Like, nah, bring it to all of us, get the perspectives that you need, sit in your own spirit after that. Cause don't run with any of the advice you get, sit in your own spirit after that. Synthesize and then move in a way that is in alignment with how you feel like you're being led, but come get your counsel work first.
Because we can't be each other's everything. It's not realistic.
Yeah. So that's a good point. I mean, a place for me to kind of turn the corner here. And this is just to the guys. So ladies, we're going to sit out of this one. Going back to the conversation that Michelle was having earlier, it came up about men feeling safe. So we just talked about the women coming to you guys, but how can women become better listeners and provide a space for you all men, Black men, to feel safe to come to us? Go ahead. You got the church.
Because I had a real live example of it during the pandemic. During the pandemic, I was feeling unsafe to the world. And that is not an uncommon feeling for a Black man to feel daily. And so I had to heal out loud in front of my wife, right? Not in a silo. And she found a way to not interrupt my healing space. And so to respond to the question is find a way to be in his healing space without interrupting it. You'll learn a lot about him and what tools to utilize to navigate him and increase that gap.
That's good.
My answer is about the language, love languages. And again, this is for every communication relationship. I know it's called love languages, so our mind goes to romance, but this works with your siblings, with everything. Taking the time to understand the person's language so that when you communicate to them in their language, they'll naturally feel safe. And being in the awareness of what language they speak so that you don't communicate in a way that makes them feel unsafe, right? So like if my love language is words of affirmation, then I'm not going to do well when you speak to me harshly and raise your voice and curse, right? I'm not going to feel safe, right? So I think taking the time to learn that will naturally make somebody feel more safe.
That's good too.
Yeah, I agree with Colin. That was actually going to be my response. What I would add to that is, so this is my perspective based on my experience. What I tend to hear a lot is women that speak to knowing when their guy is cheating, or speaking to knowing when their guy is moving in a different way that causes suspicion, or speaking to when they know that their guy is irritated or angry or aggressive. So if you have a certain level of keen awareness to know those things, why would you not know when your guy feels unsafe? Why would you not know when your guy feels triggered? Right? And so I say all of that to say, to tie into what Colin was saying, it's a continual learning process, right? Taking notes, like jotting it down in your journal, maybe, continuing to creating like a litmus test of like taking a week and breathing life into your guy and seeing what fruit is bears from that, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't think I've really felt emotionally safe anywhere. In terms of how I deal with women, right? Because me and my brothers, it's some emotional safety here. It's a lot of emotional safety here. But except with my therapist, like my therapist taught me what emotional safety was. Mm-hmm. And it's because to me, I felt like there was this listening of my thoughts, my issues, the wide range of my thoughts, without using that to categorize my being. Mm. And I think that's what kind of makes situations unsafe in you know what I'm saying, relationships, is like if I come to you to talk to you about the things that I'm really thinking and challenged with, that you don't use that information to determine who I am in my being, because that might just be a moment for me. But now, you know what I'm saying, now that I done told you one particular, like I might come to you and say, man, I thought about killing this motherfucker. And then I got to find out that you think that I'm a killer. And I'm like, nah, I was just mad in that moment. And I thought about it, but I wasn't going to do it. Mm-hmm. That might be an extreme. So I guess it's listen to your person without judgment. Mm-hmm. And judgment is an ego thing. We judge so that we can position ourselves differently. And I don't know how human beings can get better at that. But
yeah. All right,
that's good.
All good things. Thank you guys for sharing. Colin, you brought up love languages, but I want to go into what's your apology languages? Have you guys heard of the apology language? We always hear about the love language. So there are 5 apology languages. You got the expressing regret, saying I'm sorry. Is that enough for you? Accepting responsibility, saying I was wrong for, and stating what you did. Is that enough for you? Making restitution, asking how can I make this right? Plan change. These are the steps that I'm going to take so this doesn't reoccur again. Or requesting forgiveness, asking, can you find it in your heart to forgive me for whatever it is that happened? So I found myself, it was 2 for me. Of course, the correction action, what are you planning to change? But also acknowledging and taking responsibility and accepting responsibility for what you did. So we can go around and share what's your apology language.
I think I'm good on just the acknowledgement, personally.
Yeah.
I think that's all I need.
Mm-hmm. Mine would be
go ahead.
Mine would be what are the steps we're going to take? I'm first taking the accountability to say that I've done something that may have hurt you, and then what are the steps that we're going to take to make sure that doesn't happen again?
I would say for myself, it is the acknowledgement, expressing when I am wrong, taking that ownership. That's the external, what I express. Internally, I'm already thinking about what the next steps are, how I can make it right, so on and so forth. But when you brought that up, because this is the first time I'm hearing about it, the question I guess that came to my mind that I would have is, does it work similar to the love languages in that we may have primaries, however, we have to continue to grow and learn how the other person receives it, right? Because what I heard from even my response is, again, going back to bridging the gap, that may be the communication disconnect in that I stop at just my acknowledgement and feel as if that is enough because I know internally I'm moving forward with trying to figure out the next steps, but that's not communicated, so that may not even be known from the other person.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's real.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. My answer is all 5, depending on what you did.
Mm-hmm. I was thinking that. Right?
This nigga, man.
I'm going to have to ditto that.
All 5, depending on what you did. Okay,
yeah.
So sorry may be enough for me, depending on what you did. Yeah.
Shit, you wasted jelly on my new white shoes, nigga. I'm pissed, but I'm sorry, you ain't mean to. I get it.
Right.
You out here sending naked pictures to your coworker at work? Nah, nigga, you need to break down how you gonna change yourself.
And the root, why you doing that? What's going on? Acknowledge that you did that and why? Like, what's
Yeah, that's real.
And you need to acknowledge you were wrong before I have to ask you about it, because then I don't believe your real acknowledgement.
Facts.
I also want to add to that. I think it was one where you were saying about the length of the apology, and so just because someone apologizes doesn't mean that. Oh, you said something about working toward the forgiveness, like, oh, I forgive you, and you have to say you saying that in the moment. Is that what it said, Mary? Like, I forgive you.
Yeah, asking for forgiveness.
Asking for the forgiveness, but I just want to put it out there that just because you ask for forgiveness doesn't mean that the person is in a space to actually forgive you, and that it is not their responsibility to forgive you right then and there just because you're asking for an apology. They have to still process whatever the damage or the may have been.
I was about to say I got an apology language and I have a forgiveness language. Right. I gotta separate the two, right? Because there's stages in resolve. Part of it is acknowledging. So I'm cool with that's mine, right? You acknowledge that you gotta own it. Then like there's a forgiveness stage, right? Because that's a part of resolve. So my forgiveness stage is what actions did you take? Right? Some people forgiveness might be like a gift, but mine is like, well, what action? Like I have to see, right? That your apology and what I understood was the why, right? And you understood was the why. You kind of fixed it. You know what I mean? So there's two different ways I cut it up.
Yeah. I love the fact that Ali said that. I love Colin's word. I'm compartmentalized. I'll forgive you, but I see forgiveness and proximity as something different. I might forgive you, but you still ain't welcome over here.
Mm-hmm.
Not yet. You might have to work for proximity.
Yeah.
But I forgave you off gate because I needed to let that shit go. I can't live my life every day pissed off at you. I gotta let that shit go.
Yeah.
But you stay over there till you figure it out, my nigga.
Yeah.
Access restricted.
That's cool.
Absolutely.
Who go? Did everybody go?
Yep.
Yeah.
Listen, this was great. Y'all, look at y'all coming in and taking over. We don't mind this little takeover.
Right. We sit back.
We might have to do this again in the future. You know what I'm saying?
I'm shit. I'm mad in here. I'm emotional. I'm like, what the hell am I? What am I gonna go do to close the gap?
Yeah, y'all just imagine the in person. There's so many other notes that we all had that we didn't even get to touch.
Yeah.
So the in person, we have more time. We can really dig into it, and we also open it up to the audience. The audience gets very involved at our conferences. They talk. They got a lot to say. They have questions, and so it's going to be super dope. But this is just like a precursor to that.
Are we gonna be safe? We gonna be safe?
Now,
we're gonna make it safe.
Make sure y'all safe.
It is definitely going to be safe.
Give the date, the time, how to get tickets, all that.
Oh yes.
Everybody.
May 11th is the date. So you can put that on your calendar, save the date. And it's usually.
Is it 11th or 10?
It's. Make sure before I say that. Make sure.
It's a Saturday or a Sunday?
Saturday.
It's Saturday.
Saturday, May 10th.
The 10th, yeah.
Yes, it is the 10th. Okay.
Saturday, May 10th at noon.
Mm-hmm.
I know.
Ticket link will be up in our bio at Still Standing Conference on Instagram.
Yes. Be sure
at Still Standing Conference is the ticket link. Saturday, May 10th, 12 p.m.
So we are the guests. Can we can guys buy tickets too, or we still is it all the audience?
Guys can buy tickets.
Or men can come and buy tickets.
We want to open this conversation to a broader audience, and we really want to start with the healing and with the fundamentals to try to start bridging the gap in our community just between men and women and how we relate to each other and how we view each other.
And so with there being men there now, within the ticket, is there food included?
That's what I want. The menu.
Food is always included.
Food is always included, and we always have a shopping experience, and so we're going to have vendors that cater to men's needs as well.
Yeah. I think that's the first stepping stone for safety for men.
I'm talking food, like continental bread. What we eating?
No, we don't do continental bread.
Real food.
We talking potatoes.
Full brunch spread. Yeah, we do the fried potatoes, bacon, French toast, waffles on the spot.
Yes. Mimosa bar. It's a great
bar. DJ. And vendors. And this will be the first year we have male vendors. We normally have all Black women-owned vendors for businesses, but we're going to have men too. So y'all can come get your beard oils and whatever you use for them bald heads.
Yeah. Oh, you
You
saying
can get your lock extensions there, and it's just gonna be a good time.
Hey, you giving out y'all gonna have massages? Brothers can get
We are
happy
actually working on chair massages. Yes. Yes.
Oh, I thought you said a happy ending. My bad.
You know what?
My bad. I'm saving that for Patreon.
No, man, that might be another conference.
Look. With that being said, listen, y'all, we not done today. We got more for Patreon.
Yes.
What's going to be our Patreon topic for those who want to meet us on Patreon? What we talking about on Patreon?
Let's talk about sex, baby. Let's talk about
you and
me.
So
Oh, y'all
we're gonna get the juicy stuff on Patreon. So for those of you who follow us and stay connected us, who support us on Patreon, you know we always keep the juiciest conversations for y'all. And for those who want to hear the rest of this conversation on Patreon, stop playing. Come over here and support. Put them dollars up. Pay for that Patreon subscription to get that extended content. But in the meantime, we're gonna finish out the regular session with a little work in the winter. Y'all ready to transition?
Yeah.
All right, so working and winning. Listen, this is our working and winning segment. This is where we say, if you woke up this morning, if you can see, hear, smell, taste, touch, feel, then your body works. And if your body works, you have everything that you need to win. And so what we do is we simply just talk about some type of way in which we're working and getting things done in the world. But ultimately, we want to leave a little jewel, a little food for thought for someone else to win from what we're saying. And so we're going to get it going. Everybody's got 1 minute. You got 1 minute to break down your working and winning. I'm going to keep you time, but we want to give something real hot for the people. Mary, we're going to start with you. You've been a little in your zone today. Mary, talk to us. How you working and winning?
Well, my working goes back to communication because recently I realized that I don't communicate as well as I thought I communicate. So I'm going to take it back to I'm working on hearing from my heart and not my wounds. And I'm winning at that by taking a moment to be conscious of where I'm hearing from. So that made me be a pause to just reflect and get some understanding, like, okay, wait a minute, where are you hearing from and what are you hearing? So that's mine.
Y'all, Mary did that in 30 seconds. She topped the table. Thank you, Mary. Mary, who you passing it to?
I'm going to pass it to Colin.
All right. My work. I am similar to that a little bit. I am working on being a better listener. Life is moving very fast right now in all spaces, at home, with kids, at work, especially right now. And when I get on go mode, I'm just like problem solve. And I need to practice, work on slowing down and just actively listening and being in the right now. The win, I want to give a win right now for my single mothers out there raising young Black boys, because I work with a lot of them. I want to give y'all the win of what we've been talking about today, community and village. Go find it. It exists out there. There's some fraternity chapter with the Young Men's Mentoring Program. There's some sports. I don't even care if they can't play at all. They need to be around that coach and that coaching staff. Like, get these boys connected to some men in the community, and not the men that's trying to get to them so they can get to you, but just some genuine good men out there. We do exist. We're not an endangered species. We're making a comeback. Go ahead and connect with them. That's my win for y'all. And I'm passing to Sean.
Yeah, so my work is I am continuing to grow and stretch myself, in the space of had to do it. In the space of not defaulting to my natural inclination to shut down when I experience conflict within my relationship. Again, talking about the fight, flight, freeze, please. I am a fighter and a freezer. A part of the freezing, the negative aspect of that is that I can stay physically in a space without being present, right? And then I retreat to my thoughts, and then I retreat to my own feelings, and then now I'm a shell of myself and I'm locked in. So that's my work. The win is I would encourage men and women, but I would say women. I don't think that women truly understand the power that they have within a relationship, and that you can literally move the mountains, quote unquote, within your relationship based on how you water that plant, right? And so I would say continue to grow and stretch yourself in a way of just trying new things. You know what I mean? Like, And that ties into what I was saying. Like, don't get into a place where you have frozen and you are a shell of yourself because you are so traumatized through your experience that you do not allow yourself the opportunity to continue to try new things. Try new things within your relationship. And the more that you pour out prayerfully, what you will see is fruit that is bear that you bear from how you nurture. Yeah.
Cool. Thank you, Sean. Who you passing it to?
I'm gonna pass it to my twin, Michelle.
All right, so I'm working on how I present myself. I know we're in a culture of I don't care what nobody think of me. I don't care. But the reality is that I do care, and I have to care how I present and how I'm viewed, right? So if I didn't intend to be harsh in my delivery, but 10 other people thought that I was harsh, I gotta go inward and make some adjustments to that. So that's what I'm really working on. The win that I want to offer is for my fellas to be in better community and connection with the women in your life outside of your spouse. Your sisters, your best friends, women that you've grown to trust in your life, because I think that is how we bridge the gap. I think that is how we connect, and I think that is how we grow, and that's how we win. Your guys, talking to your guys that think just like you, that's going to say the same things that you talk to every day, that's not really how you're going to grow. I think that outside perspective is really going to help to push you, and usually that comes from your opposite sex relationships.
That's right.
Yeah.
Cool. Thank you, Michelle. Who you passing it to?
Oh, I'm gonna pass it to Allie.
Hey girl, hey. Okay, so my work, you guys, is that through my healing process, I've learned that or realized that I need to affirm myself more. Oftentimes we as women look for affirmation or confirmation through your spouse or your partner. And so my work is I'm creating an affirmation jar, and every day I'm writing down new affirmations about myself and what I want to become. And I started an affirmation jar. My win for you fellas is that you start an affirmation jar for a woman in your life, so that when she feels low or whatever she may be feeling, overwhelmed, she can go to that affirmation jar from you, and that actually creates that safe space, because we talked a lot about safety and women not feeling that, whether it be your daughter, your mother, your wife, or auntie, grandma. She can go there, and this is an affirmation from a man that actually makes you feel like, okay, you know what, I got this, I can do this.
That's dope.
Love that.
And of course, I'm passionate to use Chef.
Cool. Thank you, Alec, for passing it to me. What am I working on? I'm currently working on just continuing to build my business out. Congratulations to the two ladies who helped me, Dr. Crystal Ward and Talisha Hooker. We put in a contract for a very large coaching gig in order to be able to coach these student leaders. These teachers, essentially aspiring leaders, teachers who want to be aspiring leaders. We put in a bid to win that contract and won it. And so right now I have my assistant working a dual as a project manager to help us put that thing in place so that we can just run that contract efficiently and get those people helped and loved and coached up. My win for y'all is two scriptures that I read all the time that have a different meaning for me today. So one is Corinthians 9:24. It says, do you not know that in a race all the runners run, but only one receives the prize? So run that you may obtain it. Again, do you not know that in a race all the runners run, but only one receives the prize? So run that you may obtain it. I take that as the inspiration or the thought process that we need to get up every day and go get it and be intentional about how we go get it. And you need to run like you want to win, love like you want to win. Approach your husband and wife like you want to win. Like Ali said earlier, I did everything I could. Go like you want to win. But the second scripture is Philippians 4:6-8, which says, do not be anxious about anything, but in everything be by prayer and supplication, and with thanksgiving let your response be made known to God. And the peace of God, which surpasses all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds. So finally, brothers or sisters, right? Whatever is true, whatever is honorable, whatever is just, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is commendable, if there's anything excellent or anything worthy of praise, think about these things. And so these two scriptures go hand in hand for me because it feels like it's the balance of life. Get up every day and go get it, but do it with joy.
That's good. Thank you for that.
Ali, you got it.
Yo, working, man. I'm trying to increase my options on how I produce wealth. As you all know, I got a property management company that's been doing pretty well. We had a couple of clients that we brought on this week, but you can't just have one way of making money, right? You got to really diversify yourself. And we just had a change in administrations, right? And with that comes some economical differences. And I implore everybody here to do their work and to do their due diligence on figuring out how to diversify their way of making money. Salute to you, Yusha, right? Because we talk to a community that need to still make money regardless, right? So salute to you, Yusha, man, on doing that. My other work, though, I do have another work, is increasing my desire to find out more about my wife. And that's been real intentional. And the way I found out that I've been doing that is really removing myself from the relationship. And removing my intentions about what I'm trying to figure out rather than just figuring it out, right? Trying to ask her, like, why so-and-so at work triggered her, right? So I can figure out how to use that tool to navigate her. And then my winning has been, trusting myself. To everybody out there, yo, like, Ali, you talked about it. You know what I mean? You really got to trust yourself. And God has put everything in you. Right, you finding out now, right? You finding out you've been through that, right? God has put everything in us to produce, right? Don't doubt yourself. Do it. Trust yourself and go execute. And you'll see what type of seeds and fruitions that you get out of that.
That's good.
Thank you for that. Listen, for our Patreon people, meet us on Patreon for the deeper conversation about, sex. We're going to step into the juicy part that y'all love. But in the meantime, man, we out of here. Who's going to pray us out?
I'll pray us out. Okay. All right. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for blessing us with yet another day to be able to live, to breathe, to see another day on your earth. Thank you so much for an opportunity to be able to come together as children of you, but male and female, to continue to work on bridging the gap through communication, through understanding how we communicate through different languages. We ask that you continue to fortify us by first showing us, revealing to us where we need to grow, and prayerfully through that will allow us to be blessed enough with the opportunity to choose to put down ego, to choose to put down pride, and to choose to pick up the mantle of recreating what it is that you have designed us to thrive in, which is not only community, but union. It's in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Y'all just got took over. Y'all just got took over.
Hey.
Did that.
Whoa.
Yeah, that looked like that was something for Colin. that double grip right there. Hey, say that for Patreon, man.
I'm crying.
Yeah, that sounds like Patreon talk.
And don't you worry, we warming it up.
Hey, but look at Colin glowing right now. When we get off this camera.
For just one more minute, huh?
Man, I wish that's what that day was about to look like.
I love this, yo. We out of here. Yo.
Thanks for having us, y'all. Or thanks for letting us take it over.
This was amazing.
It was.
All right, cool.